Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, clearly.
Is this Michael that I'm talking to?
Yes, I am.
The cutie guy from Laguna.
Is this the John that I used to talk with? The.
At one time, and now he's going to disappear into Baguio.
Yeah, is this the John from Los Angeles who has businesses in Phoenix and New Mexico?
No, 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 not New
Sorry,
Mexico, Old
Mexico.
Mexico.
Just Mexico. Sorry.
Yeah. So, how was the day in Laguna today? Was it hot and humid, or was the weather
Yeah,
okay?
it was humid.
Hmm.
Have you watched the news yesterday? That
About
this
what?
week about the weather.
No, not really. What did it say?
About this week, Thursday is gonna be the hottest day in the
Uh-huh.
week.
How many degrees centigrade?
33 degrees.
Wow. That's getting hot.
Yeah,
And but the hottest time of the year is not even here yet. It's in May is when it's the
yeah.
hottest.
April or May.
Hmm. Wow. So I probably get back and it'll be hot. But it's hot all the time in Manila. Sometimes it was cool when I was over there in February, like the end of January, it was actually sort of cooling. But all of my friends thought it was cold, and I just thought it was cooling.
when
So
did you when
Filipinos
did you
Filipinos don't like the cold weather.
Oh, it depends. If it is too cold, then we don't like that. When did
Uh-huh.
you when did you fly back to LA? Last
It was
February.
like last week, yeah. And
So,
the weather wasn't bad. Weather hasn't been too bad actually in January and February, but that's always the two best months when I'm there is January and a little bit in December is nice and January and February. And
yeah, I agree.
most of March sort of okay, but then it starts getting hot again. And then it goes hot for at least in Manila, it goes hot for April and May, and then starting in June the rains start again.
Yeah,
Do you like the typhoons or not too much?
not too much, though I understand that sometimes we need it to cleanse the atmosphere.
Yeah. Do you get very many typhoons in the town that you live in, or are you more protected?
Sometimes we get, sometimes we don't. But the most
Hmm.
recent one that devastated our place here was last July 2014. The typhoon,
Really?
yeah, Typhoon Glenda. Were you here in July 2014?
In no in Jul No, not for that typhoon. I was there like it was the month or 3 weeks after that. But there wasn't very much damage in because I thought because I was concerned about my place. But Manila was thinking they were really going to get hit, but they didn't. It wasn't a big deal in Manila. So evidently the storm went further south and hit where you were.
Yeah, Typhoon Glenda.
Hmm. Because they were letting school out and everything in Manila for that, thinking it was going to be really bad,
Hmm.
and it wasn't very bad in Manila. But I think other parts were like where you. How bad was it where you were?
Like most of the trees around were uprooted, and some of the
Really?
yeah, and some of the roofs were also, you know, uprooted, just like trees.
How did your house survive?
I don't, maybe because of miracle. I
No,
don't
but I
really
mean, how did it? Was there any damage to your house?
no, only some of the trees. Like we
Wow,
have
you're
a
lucky.
mango tree at our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
and some of its branches were, you know, scattered around the roof and
Wow.
everywhere.
Who were you in your house when it happened?
Yeah,
Where were you?
I was in the house.
And how many people were there? Was your mom and dad there?
Yeah, my mom, dad, my brother, his girlfriend, and my most recent niece.
Wow. So what do you do? You just stay inside, or what do you do when the typhoon hits?
We were just being vigilant, especially, the branches, the flying branches might hit, the glass windows and the, you know, some of the rain droplets might get inside. So we were just,
So did your electricity go off?
yeah, for almost a week.
Oh wow. Boy, that was really bad then.
Yeah, most of us just stayed at a nearby mall.
Was the electricity there?
Yes, they have their generator.
Uh, is it a big mall like SM or what kind of
No,
mall?
just shop-wise.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's the bad thing. That's the good thing about Makate is the flood water isn't as bad there if it rains a lot as it is in other parts of Metro Manila.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever been to Taguig, but Taguig is even better than Makate because it's a little bit higher. The ground is a little higher, and people there don't get the water in the streets as much as we do in Makati. So there's an advantage in Taguig with the typhoons, I think.
Yeah, I think, Taguig has this sophisticated, state-of-the-art flooding system or drainage system.
Yeah, but it's also higher. The land is higher, so that's automatically gives them an advantage.
Yeah, I went there. I actually been there for no, 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 no. I only passed by there for how many times, and just I think first week of February or last week of January, I went there for the first time in the heart of Taguig.
Really? You've
Yeah,
never been there before?
just passed by, but never really, move
Did you
around.
stop?
Yeah, we went to
Did you
RCBC
go to
Tower.
did you go to Market, the shopping center?
No, but I've passed by there several times, but never been inside.
Or have you been to High Street? Do
High
you know where
Street?
that is?
No.
Yeah. It's really a cool place. It's a lot like Greenbelt is with coffee shops and clubs and all of that kind of
Is
thing
it
and
in
green
McKinley?
grass.
Is it in McKinley?
I
No.
sort of, yeah, but it's you can actually walk from there to it's a long walk, but you can go from there to uh do you know where Aurora is? The SM Mall
Yeah,
across
SM
from
Aura.
Market
That
Market.
is where
Yeah.
I drove in. There's an inter like a sort of exit point there. Then
At,
I just drove in there to get to RCBC Tower in I think 5th or 32nd Street, something like that.
hmm hmm Yeah, well, the High Street is really cl all that area is sort of really connected because they try to make it like the Greenbelt Galleria area, connecting a lot of stuff together. So that's some people like Taguig better. It's more quiet in Taguig, I think, than Makati, but I don't know. The advantage to me, if I lived in Taguig, it's a little closer to get to the airport.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
can you drive a car? Do you drive?
Yeah, I drive.
Wow.
But,
If I'm riding with you, do I have to put my seatbelt on out of fear or no?
I guess so. Well, I don't, I don't, forget to advise my passengers to wear the seatbelt
Yeah.
because
That
I
doesn't
might,
mean that doesn't mean you're a bad driver. That means there could be other bad drivers out on the street.
yeah,
Wow. Do you like driving?
yeah, of course. I've the first time I drove was in 2005, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The first time when we purchased our first car, Toyota Revo, and I was
Uh-huh.
driving around, I mean inside the university that I went to when I was
Yeah.
in high
The
school.
province. The province
Yeah,
is
in
really,
Cavite.
yeah, it's really cool. I like to drive in the province. It's just Manila that I don't like driving in.
And then in 2012, my father sent me to a prominent driving school
Mm-hmm.
so I could acquire my non-professional driver's license. And that was in
Mm-hmm.
June 2012. And then
Mm-hmm.
after that, you know, I just did my thing on the streets and I tried to
How
sneak.
was the driving school? Was it a good driving school?
For me, it was,
Mm-hmm.
but I only took, you know, driving lessons for 3 days since I have already a driving background. My
Yeah, yeah,
brother
yeah,
was the one
yeah.
who taught me when I was in high school.
So when you were in the driving school, is that when you got your driver's license? Was through the school?
Yes.
Did they help you?
No, I got my driver's license all on my own
Before the school or after the school?
after the school. Cause here's the process. Before
You
you
mean you were driving for a long time without a driver's license?
only in the province area.
Uh-huh.
Here's the story. Um, you cannot apply or you cannot enroll to a driving school if you don't settle or request a student driver's permit from the Land Transportation Office. And it
Mm-hmm.
should be that student permit should be signed by the driving school so that when the time I return to the Land Transportation Office, I just have to show the student permit signed by the driving school and apply for a non-professional driver's license
Uh-huh.
and then pay the necessary fees.
Wow.
That's it. They were offering, assistance to acquire um a
The driver's
driver's
license.
license, but
But
I
you didn't
refuse.
need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I have, the knowledge to do it on my own, and I
Uh-huh.
love, um, I love to be really self-reliant.
Ah, okay.
I'd rather ask questions or Google the things that I need to know than,
Than to have somebody do it for you.
yeah. I feel
That's
more
that's cool.
productive and I
Mm-hmm.
feel that, I'm in
You feel more
charge.
independent.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I feel more that I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So if we're together, I'll have to remember you're always in charge. To
I
to
get
keep
that.
peace in the family. Don't you think that's a good idea?
it's re- it's really it is really good idea. It is. It is.
It's a good idea. I'm getting the idea now, so that's good. So when are you leaving for Baguio? Like it's
Tomorrow evening.
obviously it's late tonight. It's 11 o'clock. Are you leaving in the morning?
No, unfortunately, there was a
A
sudden
change?
event earlier. The van
Uh-huh.
that we're supposed to use got hit by another car.
Oh wow.
So, speaking of what?
Speaking of driving, huh? Speaking of cars.
Yeah, and we postponed our trip tomorrow evening because there are
Until
things that,
tomorrow evening.
yeah,
So that means we can talk some more tomorrow also during the day.
yeah, but I need to pack my things too, so maybe
Now,
some
come
minutes.
on, you don't need 10 hours to pack your clothes. Don't be too gay, please.
Okay. No, no, no,
Put
no.
all your high heels in and all of your shoes and all of your designer
No,
underwear and designer
I
shirts
will
and
only
designer pants.
bring my two blankets and underwear. That's it.
So see, you don't have to all day to pack. So we can still talk tomorrow.
Sure. I
Good.
was hoping
The
that we
reception
could
is
talk.
really good right now, don't you think?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe because right now you're in your house and you your phone. Are you using your phone?
Yeah,
Your phone is transmitting great signal from
yeah,
Wi-Fi. Do you use Wi-Fi there?
yeah, yeah. And I'm on iPhone. I don't know if iPhone's any better or not. Who knows?
Oh,
Hello?
yeah. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought after talking about how good it is, then we get disconnected.
No, hopefully not.
My connection here shows excellent. What does yours show on Viber?
What?
My connection shows excellent on Viber. What does yours show? It should show there the transmission.
Well,
It says network quality. What does it say on there on your end?
I'm using Viber desktops. I use
Doesn't that
my.
have the network quality on it also?
Hold on.
It's just on the if you look at the screen, it should say there the network quality.
It doesn't show. Hold on.
Really? It's got to show there.
Should I click on the view tab?
It should show my number and it should show the time that we've been spending on the conversation and Viber, and then it says network quality. Maybe that's only on the iPhone that it
Yeah,
shows that.
maybe.
Hmm.
Because I'm using a desktop.
Okay. Maybe it's just the on my phone shows that. But Viber is really good because I use that in Mexico also to my office on business.
Hmm.
All of my people that I have to talk to all the time, I have them install Viber. And for the most part, as long as they have a strong internet connection, the call, it may not be as good as a regular telephone call, but you can still get the conversation. And it certainly is free, and you don't have to charge for an international phone call.
Just as long as you have Wi-Fi connection, you're good to go.
Well, but it has to be strong because you can have weak Wi-Fi and it
Yeah,
doesn't even work.
mine is strong. I'm not
It
even
is
I'm
strong.
not even using a Wi-Fi because I'm using a desktop. It is a direct line.
So, well, that means it's even stronger, probably. I don't know. Does that weaken a signal? I think if were direct wired to the cable, it would even be stronger than Wi-Fi because there's probably more interference with Wi-Fi, don't you think? Or is it the same?
I'm not really sure because I'm not really into gadget things, electronics.
I thought you went into IT
Yeah, that's why I
after
quit.
nursing. Oh, okay.
But I there were few subjects or yeah, subjects and even lessons that were being part of my interest, like you know, simple web designing using HTML.
Hmm. What out of curiosity, what is your what who do you use in in Laguna for your provider? Is it Globe or what company?
PLDT.
Mm, okay.
How about you in Makati?
In Globe. But somebody was telling me, I think it's that company. It's a company that just uses letters. And one of my techs in Makate said that they thought that was a better provider than Globe. And I think it must be that company that you use because it's some letters. I have it written down. I don't have it in front of me, but
Yeah,
it may
in
be that same
letters.
company.
I think it's the only, phone and internet carrier that provides that has only letters as
Yeah,
its
yeah.
name,
Is
PLDT.
it? Yeah, let me write that down and then I'll look at my other note and make sure that it's the what is it? P what?
PLDT.
Uh-huh. PLDT, right?
Yeah, PLDT.
Okay. Is that supposed to be better than Globe, or what do your friends say that
Yes,
have
yes,
internet?
it is. Overall, PLDT
Uh-huh.
has been around even before Globe and Smart existed.
Uh-huh.
If I'm
Okay.
not
So it's like the
mistaken,
oldest, one of the oldest companies
it's
in
actually
that
the
area.
oldest. PLDT stands for Philippine Long Distance Telecommunication. It has been a long
Okay.
time ago. Here's the history. Before
Mm-hmm.
PLDT was part of, the government businesses. Before
Uh-huh.
the
Government
yeah,
telecommunications.
major businesses long time ago such as Philippine Airlines, PLDT, Meralco, Nawasa are part of government or public business. And
Uh-huh.
during, if I'm not mistaken, during Marcos time,
Uh-huh.
they had generated a lot of money using those, companies
The
until,
government did.
yeah, the government.
Uh-huh.
And if my memory served me right, because I wasn't born yet that time, um, you know, Philippines was one of the wealthiest countries before during that time when, these businesses had skyrocketed.
Uh-huh.
Philippines was generating, good amount of money to sustain the economy that time until one day, I'm not really sure what happened when they privatized PLDT, even Philippine Airlines, Meralco, and some other companies.
But probably when they privatized it, didn't those companies become even better and stronger, or no?
I can't really tell because when it was still part of the government, I wasn't born that time yet. I was only reading books and
Mm-hmm.
heard feedbacks from, people who are older than me.
Who were alive then?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
who were alive then. So
Yeah, yeah. Because normally, Mexico went through that same thing. Uh, and as you know, there's a lot of similarities between Mexico. That's why I like both Mexico and Philippines because I like the cultures of both.
maybe it's
And I guess
because,
part of that is just the Spanish influence that went
yeah,
into Mexico, and then for a while, Philippines was controlled through Mexico by Spain. When Spain was actually 1,000 years ago, whenever that was. But anyway, the remnants of the culture is in both obviously is in both countries. But the government was also sort of the same, and for many years Mexico was really like during when Marcos was in there was really strong. This government was strong, controlling everything. And then they privatized in Mexico, and unfortunately, it was still corruption when they did the privatization. But
Mm-hmm.
when they did privatize, for example, the telephone service, it was a lot better than when the government controlled it. And the airlines, the same thing. They became better after it was privatized. And I was just wondering, in the Philippines, usually the government never does a very good job in managing something. So when they privatize it, it usually is better. So I was just wondering on telecommunications if it became better when they privatized it in Philippines, or if it got worse, or if it just stayed the same.
Well, we'll never know. I'm thinking that, you know,
Probably only the people that lived then that for example, like, when Marcos was in power and somebody had a house and wanted a telephone, was it more of a problem then to get a telephone in the house, or is it easier now to get a telephone in a house? In Mexico, it could take almost a year to get a telephone if the house already didn't have a telephone in it. It would take a
Mhm.
year. Now you can get it just like in America, in Mexico, within, 1 week you can get a telephone service.
Well, when I applied for PLDT, it only took me days.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's improved, probably.
Yeah, but we'll never know. Maybe when there was a chance that the government continued to manage, PLDT and other privatized companies, maybe,
Could have been better.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, you never know, actually. And all governments are different, I guess. So, but the good thing, what I do know, because I'm a lot older than you are, what I do know is, remember when I told you I was in, when I first came over there, I was in Leyte and in Tacloban.
Hmm.
At that time, and it wasn't that many years ago, at that time, it was really more difficult with internet service because it was, you know, I remember I was out in the country in Leyte, and I don't know if you're very familiar with that island, but there's a sort of a big town that's on the coast, uh, and on the other side of the bay there is Cebu,
Hmm.
and it's called Ormoc is the name of the city.
Oh, Ormoc
And
later. Yeah.
and I had to go there to get internet service if I was out in the country, either there or Tacloban, because anywhere in between I couldn't get internet. And now that has all changed. Well, it even changed before the typhoon. You could be in between almost anywhere on Leyte in any of the big towns, and you could get internet. It's not a problem. And that's just all that changed on the internet in just the last 15 years or something like that. So now I think you can get internet pretty much all over the Philippines, actually.
Yes, but these companies still have to consider some remote areas because of some rebels or terrorists.
Well, in Mindanao for sure.
But not all parts of Mindanao are being, overruled by rebels. There were progressive
Let me
places
ask you a
like.
question on that. And because my friends here in America, boy, as soon as I got off the plane, they immediately started asking me that because of all the problems now in the Middle East with the Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
And in our country here, they're talking about the hot spots in the world with the radical Muslims, and especially with ISIS and all of that. And one of the countries that they bring up as a hot spot now is the Philippines. And I don't think that does the Philippines any good for image. And I keep telling them, I said, listen, in Manila or in late or in Luzon, I don't think there's any big problem with that because I don't even see people talking about. But internationally, they talk about how ISIS is coming into the Philippines and blah
Mm-hmm.
blah 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 blah. My question to you: you're not in Manila. Do you see the rebels getting worse in the Philippines, or is it about the same?
Honestly, I think right now rebels have developed this sense of hierarchy. Unlike before, they were really radical.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, they have this chief negotiator, chief inspector something. I don't know.
Uh huh.
I don't know
Uh huh.
where they got that, you know, concept of, putting or yeah, putting ranks on whoever their members are. But I think
Hmm.
rebels nowadays are not too rebellious anymore. They're like,
You don't think there's no publication or uh, articles about the radical part of, for example, ISIS? I think you've heard of them. You haven't heard of them coming into the Philippines to radicalize the already sort of radical Muslims? You haven't heard that?
so far none, but there's this speculation that I don't know if you were still here during. Have you heard about the fallen 44 soldiers?
When was that?
That
I mean, you mean what? If I was in the Philippines, I just left. So
that
what are you, is it in the last 2 weeks or what?
no, it happened on 25th of January, and the
What
entire.
was it? Refresh my memory. Maybe I probably heard it, didn't pay any attention.
Okay, there was a counter between, you know, these two different rebels or
Oh, yeah, in
factions. Yeah,
Mindanao,
in
right?
Mindanao,
In an army camp.
MILF and BIFF against
Uh-huh. But it
PNP
was in
SAF.
Mindanao, right
Yeah.
out in the jungle somewhere.
hmm And
Hmm.
then the PNP SAF, SAF means Special Action Force,
Uh-huh.
was trying um, c- to catch or to capture the international terrorist named
Uh-huh.
Marwan, and there has been speculations that Marwan is also connected to ISIS, though Marwan doesn't really, specialize when it comes to spreading terror. He specialized mostly in um, weapon or improvised bombs, something like that. And he has
Hmm.
been teaching MILF or BIFF, something like that, to create
Hmm.
improvised bombs. But
Hmm.
they're
I think that's more to just terrorize the Philippine government to negotiate with them.
actually Marwan is not Filipino. He's a Malaysian terrorist, and even
Living in the Philippines?
no, hiding in the Philippines.
Yeah, God, they better capture that guy. No, if he's
They
not,
actually killed him.
I don't think he has his legal papers to be in Philippines. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think
I don't think he went through
to.
immigration at the airport.
He just, got in there somewhere in Mindanao.
Y- Yeah, yeah, I'm sure he just took a boat or something and got over there. So
Yeah. So that's
that's
the
too
only.
bad because have you been to Mindanao?
Yeah, my parents came from Mindanao.
Yeah, it's a cool island. There's a lot of beautiful places there. Have you been to Davao?
Yeah, many times.
Hmm. I like that city. And you know, even with all the terror stuff in Mindanao, Davao is supposed to be the safest city in all of the Philippines.
Yeah. People there are, really mild.
Uh-huh.
And maybe because they can even influence some rebels or terrorists just to make them, a little nicer whenever they
Well, you know
get.
how they do that, I think. This is just my speculation, but the mayor is pretty strong in Davao, and he doesn't stand for any nonsense. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Mayor Duterte.
And
Yeah.
and the people, yeah. Some people don't like him because he's too authoritarian. But on the other hand, things are peaceful there and people like living there. So, and you know the other good thing about Davao from a foreigner standpoint is very few typhoons come into Davao. So, that's the
It's
good
good
thing
for
about living there.
business. Yeah.
Yeah, or living because you don't have to worry about rain or something tearing your roof off of your house.
Yeah. Have you done um roll on roll off travel? Like island hopping using your car or not yet?
Not yet. That would be fun to do. Oh, you mean going from island to island with your car?
Yeah, you just have to um, get your car on a ship or a barge, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That would be fun to do. But you know something? Maybe I'm a little bit paranoid, but I am always leery about taking a ferry in Philippines because of all the horror stories of
Yeah,
bad maintenance and the boat going down into the water and people being drowning and all of that. And I really, really, I guess I'm too scared about that. And if I can, I just take a plane instead of trying to
yeah,
fly
me
or
too.
take a boat.
I prefer to ride on a plane.
Hmm. Have you ever done the jet ferry, the fast boat that goes across the islands? They
Yeah,
call it jet some.
sky. You
What do
mean
they call
the
it? Jets.
you mean the jet that flies or jet that cruises on the waters?
Yeah, it's on the water, but they call it jet ferry or jet something or other. It goes super
Skyjet.
fast.
Wait. I got on once in 2000 in May 2012 from Cebu to going to Bohol
Uh-huh.
and vice versa.
Yeah. Those, my friends say those are supposed to be fairly safe, but I don't know.
It doesn't really
Safer
look
than
like
some of the old ferries are.
it doesn't really look like um a boat. It's more of a public yacht,
Hmm.
something like that. It's really fast.
Isn't it like a catamaran, but on with jet power? You know what a catamaran is with the two big floating things underneath that
No, I don't think
and the
so.
boat's elevated above the water a little bit and the jet motors, the it's called um, it's called a catamaran. You know what that is that what the jet looked like when you or the boat when you got on it? Did it have two big pontoons on the
Hmm.
water?
I am aware of that, but it's the first time that I heard about the exact term. But I think
Is that what it looked like, the boat that you were on?
no, it did not look like that.
It was like a regular boat,
It's more of yeah, boat.
like a yacht.
Yeah, like a yacht. It's actually a yacht. They
Uh,
just turn it to like public yacht, and they installed some bus-like seats there
yeah.
to make it look
And
like
how about Cebu City? Do you like Cebu City?
I when it comes to cleanliness, I really love Cebu and s- some, people there in the um rural area. They were really accommodating.
Did you like it in general better than Manila, Cebu?
Yes, in general, but the thing is in Manila, um everything is accessible.
Yeah, that's for sure. You have everything there.
Yeah, products or services, transports, what
Yeah,
have you.
medical,
Yeah,
hospitals, everything.
medicals is very
Hmm.
important. But in
Hmm.
Cebu, um, what I like about there is there's less traffic in some major highways, and
Yeah, and it's a
there's a
slower pace in the city. The people are slower. Everything is more calm.
yeah, it's a city, but it doesn't feel like I was in the city.
Yeah, yeah. But I've been there a couple of times, and there's a lot of street people in Manila, but that's the one thing I was surprised at in Cebu is there were still a lot of street people, homeless people in Cebu city. And I thought maybe there wouldn't be, but there, at least when I was there, it seemed like there were quite a few.
Yeah,
But
and
I guess that's all over the Philippines.
I
So
was surprised the first time I went to Cebu because almost all foreigners, whether Caucasians or Koreans, something like that, almost,
Chinese.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
Chinese almost dominated Cebu. Like the
Mm-hmm.
first time I, got off from the airport,
Mm-hmm.
Koreans were there, even white Caucasians, and
Yeah, there's a lot of foreigners who like Cebu City, and I think it's just because it's smaller and, like you say, it's a little cleaner.
yeah,
And the other thing about Cebu City for the foreigners, especially, they're probably there because it's cheaper than Manila is to live there. So
I don't
they
think so.
and a lot of foreigners are on a maybe a lower amount of money because they're retired. So that's an important consideration on where they live. They still get a big city, but it's not as expensive as Manila because Manila can be expensive for the average foreigner to live there.
hmm But it depends on the, products or services that you take advantage of. There are
But I
expensive
think housing,
ones.
for example, is cheaper in general in Cebu than it is in Manila.
Yeah, and piece of lands.
Uh-huh. And a lot of the foreigners, like Americans, there I think I haven't I the foreigners have just told me this. There's actually little communities in Cebu that are gated, and you have your own little house, but it's a security, a gated community, and it's cheaper than trying to get the same thing in Manila,
Yeah,
for the
it
same
looks like
kind
a
of housing.
a compound with lots of
Exactly.
house inside.
Exactly.
When I
And
went,
you'll find when you go to Baguio, you're going to see a lot of Koreans there. And a lot of Koreans, I like Baguio for the same reason, but Koreans like it because it's colder there than the rest. They like the Philippines, but it's too hot for them because it's not like Korea that's cold in the winter. So they like Baguio because it's foggy and cold a lot of the time. So lots and lots of Koreans have moved there. But I don't mind Koreans. Koreans are sort of cool.
hmm
Hello,
yes, they are. But
are you there?
yeah, I was just checking
Okay.
on something.
Checking on your other boyfriends.
No. What makes you think that way?
Because I think you're on gay.com a lot, so you've got to be there looking for boyfriends.
Well,
Well,
oh, you, I've been transparent to you.
I know you have. I'm just kidding you, but you're not on gay.com to look at the weather or or see about the terrorists in Mindanao.
No, I just checked my Gmail because one of my acquaintances who also happens from who also come from that site sent me something, and he just gave me a heads up to check on it. That's
Mm,
all.
okay.
So it seems like it's a lazy day for you.
Well, I am going to need to get back to work here because it's 8:30 here and I've got a lot of things going on this morning that I have to take care of. Like I said, I got to get all this done or I'll never get back to Manila. So,
Mm.
anyway, and I'll let you get back to whatever you're doing and it's great talking to you. You are a cool guy to talk to
Yeah,
and
you too.
it's a pleasure talking to you.
It's a
So,
pleasure hearing your voice.
okay, thank you. So, what I would suggest if you're not leaving in the morning is I'm going to be really busy while you're asleep tonight, and maybe when you wake up, you can give me a message and see what time it is here in the afternoon, and maybe it's slower where I we can talk again when you wake up.
Okay, but maybe you're gonna sleep in again on me.
No, 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 no. Because see, when you wake up, it's going to be like in the afternoon here. So I'll still. Because what time do you normally wake up? About 7 o'clock in the morning.
If there's, an important appointment, then I wake up usually like that, 7 or 8. Oh,
But normally, what time? 9 o'clock.
9, 10, even 12 sometimes.
Really? Oh, okay. Because like if you get up at 9, it's still 6 o'clock in the afternoon here, so I'll still for sure still be awake and doing things. So whatever time you wake up, just give me a message.
Okay.
Alrighty?
All right.
Que
S-
más? What else? Es todo? I'll use my Spanish on you. Is that it?
Um, well, I'm just enjoying, talking with you right now.
Yeah, it's nice to. It'll be even nicer to see you.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Hmm. I'll give you the directions on how to get to Makate in case you forgot how to get there.
No, I am familiar with
You know
Ayala,
how to get to Ayala.
Glorieta, Greenbelt,
Hmm.
Urdaneta. I know
And
how
you
to.
know the Ayala MRT station, right?
Yeah, I
All of that's close.
I used to have training at Peninsula Manila in
Mm.
2013 because I was
Hmm.
trying to get on a ship, a cruise ship. So I was undergoing housekeeping training and
Hmm.
overall stuff about hotels.
Hmm.
Laundry,
Cool.
room attendant,
So what
poolside
happened? Why
attendant.
didn't you? Why weren't you able to get on a cruise?
Well, my credentials are not enough yet, and I don't have enough. I don't have a legit, certificate of employment.
Ah, okay. You just needed more experience.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But right
Cool,
now,
cool,
my
cool.
plan, my plan is to just, focus on the opportunity that I have discovered. You know,
Hmm.
binary options, more of like forex. I really want to
Hmm.
try it out.
Hmm. Good.
Using the power of internet to earn money like that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, internet has changed a lot of things. Well, listen, guy, I'm going to let you go because I'm going to take a fast shower and I've got a meeting here in about another 40 minutes that I've got to get to. So I'll let you go and then please message me when you wake up, okay? And then if you're available and I'm available, we can talk for a few minutes again on the telephone. Continue our conversation on other topics.
Later,
What's that?
later.
In the morning when you wake up,
Okay,
okay?
okay.
Unless you want to come here and help me take a shower, you can do that too.
I'll be more
But
than happy.
you'll have to come through the telephone.
Teleport.
Teleport. There you go. We
Oh,
could use tele what would it be? Tele tele Filipino. Let's just call it that. Tele Filipino. Magically go through the telephone waves and end up here. Or it would be just good for me to where I can just snap my finger and I end up back in the Philippines, not have to go on an airplane.
you like
So anyway, yeah, go ahead.
you like cracking jokes and you know
Being stupid a little bit.
I find it attractive.
Okay, good. You can't be serious all the time, especially a business guy like me. You've got to be keep a smile on your face also.
Okay. Hey,
Don't you agree?
yeah, I agree. You
Okay.
haven't told me your story yet. I mean, you cut it off when you were 24, when you were just
And
starting.
then the rest of my life, yeah, on the next conversation I'll go through on mine from college to business to the Philippines. You know a little bit about when I went to the Philippines, but
No,
there's a lot
only
of
in
years in between.
Tacloban. only in
Uh-huh.
Tacloban and Makati, but you haven't mentioned yet. You know, how did you get here the first time?
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh. And
anyway,
why I got there and all of that kind of thing.
mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of things about Mexico also that are connected to the Philippines with really close friends that I had. And one of the people that got me started in real estate, uh, hold on. Sorry, I had another phone call come in. Are you there?
Yeah.
One of the things that got me started in the
Ye-
Philippines, actually, when I first went to Mexico City, because I'm involved in real estate,
mhm.
and one of the people down in Mexico City that I became really, really super close friends with uh, was in a real estate company, and
Mhm.
he was Mexican, but in a real estate company. And as time went on, I found out that he was half. You would never know that he was half Filipino and half um,
Mexican.
Mexican. And even more importantly, and he was an intellectual. He was a lot older than I was. In fact, he just died about a year ago,
Oh,
and
sorry about
we
that.
became very, very close friends. And nobody knew that he was Mexican because he looked like an American. He had as white a skin as I have, and it was so funny because we would be in Mexico City, and we would be somewhere together, and some of especially my younger friends, would come up, Mexicans, and start talking to me, and then they would try to be polite with Raul was his name, because he was first of all, he was older, so and Mexicans are very polite to the older people, and they
Mhm.
would really try, and some of them didn't speak English very well, but they'd really, really try to speak good English with him, thinking for sure he was an American. And then all of a sudden, he would just take off in his Spanish because he's Mexican, just like they are. And these kids would almost fall over in amazement because that was the last thing they expected, is that he was a Mexican guy. But where it applies to the Philippines, he is a distant relative of one of the current important people of the Philippines in the last 100 years, and
Isabel
that's
de Ayala.
no, Manuel Quezon.
Really?
And,
That's the
yep.
school
And
that.
you look at Raul, and he has, because it's a distant. What was he? He was his. Um, I forget. I've got all of the information. It was his uncle or something like that, because Raul even had in his library. Have you ever heard of a magazine here called Time Magazine?
Yeah.
It's a And I think it was back in the 40s, because Quezon was the first American, when the U.S. Turned loose of the Philippines because it was under the
Yeah.
Americans for a while.
Mhm.
They put Quezon in there he was the first fully elected president of the Philippines, after we were there, and of course supported by the U.S. and all that kind of thing. And Raul, of course, he was a little kid at that time, but he knew that. But for example, Manuel Quezon, when sometime during his period of time, and I think there was also political problems, but he went to the United States for medical treatment because I think he had tuberculosis or something, and he went to New York for medical reasons.
Hmm.
And what I enjoyed immensely is Raul knew all the details of the Filipino history at that time. And he would always go to the Philippine embassy in Mexico City whenever there were big events because of his connection with the Philippines. And he did a lot of interpretation from Spanish into English for Filipino websites and all of that kind of thing. And so that's another thing that
Hmm.
got me really addicted also on the Philippines because of my close friendship with Raul, and certainly gave me a better understanding of the Philippines, from his standpoint anyway. And I think Quezon was very much a people president, not just the rich people, according to Raul. He was a populist president. So
Did Raul meet his uncle in person before?
yeah, he was just a little kiddo. He died last year, and he was 85 years old when he died. So you can imagine how many years ago that was. So it was, he was probably 10 years old or something like that, but he had met him. He also had an article about Manuel Quezon going to the United States, going to America, because obviously he had his life at that time depended, political life, on the U.S. because
Hmm.
we were the ones supporting him, you know, to get elected in the Philippines. So he came to the U.S. and he loved Mexico, but we were not in a good relationship at that time with Mexico politically, the United States. So he got on the Mexican president brought a train up to the border with the United States. And Manuel Quezon secretly went down to Mexico without telling the United States for a meeting with the Mexican president in Mexico City. And there was a great big celebration in the Zocalo and the plaza for Manuel Quezon. And Quezon said he was loved Mexico because as he was going through the countryside, it reminded him of his homeland, which was the Philippines. The people, the way of life,
Hmm.
all of that. And it was really amazing. And Raul still had those articles, of that trip. And I actually made copies of all that stuff. I'm sure it's in the libraries and everything, but it was just interesting. I'll show you his picture also, Raul, because if you look at him, he just looks almost like he could be the brother of Quezon, the resemblance. But it's the Spanish, I guess it's the Spanish look. I don't know if Quezon was white, but Raul is actually white skinned also. I mean, he looks like a Caucasian.
Yeah, I think Quezon is or
He's
was,
Spanish.
yeah, was Caucasian, I think. I think he
He
was the
was, yeah, I
first
don't even
ever
think he was
Caucasian
Filipino. I think
president.
he was Spanish.
Yeah, by
Hmm.
his looks and by the sound of his last name.
Hmm. But he lived a very meager life, supposedly. He lived in the Filipino house, like other Filipinos live. That's why he got elected, because he identified with everybody in the Philippines. You call it a populist. He was a populist guy. I guess that's why they named, a town and a city after him
Yeah,
and have the
Quezon
statues and
City,
all of
and
that
even a
sort of thing.
university,
Hmm.
Manuel L. Quezon University.
Hmm.
That's the school that I went to last September 2014, and luckily
Ah,
I passed the entrance exam to take up architecture
okay. And where is that university? In your town, or is it in Manila?
in Manila.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think
But
America, Spain, Mexico, and Philippines are really highly related to each other. Even in
Oh yeah.
boxing, even in beauty pageants, these four countries
Hmm.
are really, you know, are really
Hmm.
somewhat related. Or,
The one thing I don't know if this is true. Maybe you can tell me because because of your age.
hmm
But do you find, for example, that English, I know English, excuse me, is spoken by a lot of Filipinos, but do you find that sometimes because of resentment, the resentment, there are some people who have, especially young people, that have
excuse me.
a little bit of a resentment to the United States, and therefore they don't carry on with the English, and they think that, and they really say English is not the language; it should be Tagalog and not English. Have you heard any of that kind of sentiment with young people? Some young people.
Yes, some, but mostly what I've heard about is from like
Probably the more radical students, maybe.
I don't know. What I've heard mostly about is, Tagalog should be spoken uh, in general here so that it
Yeah.
won't be forgotten by the next generation.
And I had an older Filipino tell me just last month. I'd say he's probably like 60 years old, 70 years old.
Filipino what?
He, huh?
Filipino what?
A Filipino friend that I have
Uh,
in Manila.
okay.
And he was saying that he thought overall in the Philippines, the older generation knows more English than some of the younger generation in the Philippines because they were brought up during a
Yeah,
period
Commonwealth period. Yeah.
when the Americans were still in the Philippines.
I believe so, yes. Because
Hmm.
there was this speculation, or I'm not sure, that supposedly Philippines was part of the um, United States, just like what happened to Guam and Hawaii. You
Uh
know,
huh.
these islands are separated from the main islands of US,
Uh
and
huh.
Philippines was supposedly, be after them. But I
Uh
I
huh.
wasn't born yet that time, so I don't really know the story behind why it did not push through.
Yeah. 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 Probably I'm glad that it didn't, but that's another thing that's the trip that I like. That's how I go over to the Philippines. I think I told you. I can get a direct flight from here to Tokyo or to Taipei and then Taipei to Manila. But I hate that 14-hour flight because I would prefer to have it a longer flight, but get out and walk around and then get back on the plane and fly some more. So I go from LA to Honolulu and Hawaii, and then
Mm.
like have an hour and a half where I can get off and walk around, and then I go to Guam and do the same thing. And the amazing thing is, I can literally go almost all the way to the Philippines and not even be out of my country using my US passport. And that's another advantage. I mean, it's like I'm almost in Manila when I finally have to show my US passport because I'm going into another country.
Mm.
And most Americans don't realize that. In fact, most Americans don't even know that Guam is considered part of the United States. It's not a state of our country, but it's a, I don't know what you would call it,
Like Puerto Rico.
like Puerto Rico, exactly. But most Americans know that about Puerto Rico, but they have no idea that Guam, they don't even know Guam, most people. But
What?
seriously, you do because it's close to your country, but most Americans don't know Guam. Young kids your age, they probably have heard it, but they don't even think about it, because it doesn't mean anything to them. And really, I was the same way until I didn't even know Guam was part of the United States until probably 3 years ago. And I've heard of Guam for sure. I never knew that was considered a U.S. territory.
Well, not when I was at my sixth grade around year 2001. That was
Uh
the
huh.
first time I heard about that Guam is part of United States.
Mm-hmm.
So I've known. that Guam is part of United States since 2001
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the
See, I
movie.
never.
Because of the movie, do you know Matilda?
Yeah,
Yeah, because of that
yeah.
movie.
Because of that movie. Yeah. Well, it's a. I never ever realized, and you know that you're literally almost in Philippines because I think it's about a 3 hour flight from Guam into Manila, so it's not very far.
What about from Guam to Honolulu,
Honolulu, it's about a 7 hour flight.
and then from Honolulu to Los Angeles?
It's about 4 hours. But
Okay.
you know, but a flight from Los Angeles or San Francisco to Tokyo is about 14 hours. You know, so and then you're still not in Manila. And then the other thing you can do, is you can take a direct flight, which I don't really like to do, from on Philippine Airlines because they're the only airline that has a direct flight from Los Angeles to Manila.
Hmm. Why don't?
All the other airlines, you have to go through other countries.
Yeah.
But the thing I like to do, especially if I'm in Phoenix, Phoenix is not very far from Los Angeles, and I don't like to handle my suitcases more than once. So I want to, wherever I am, I want to be able to check in my suitcases all the way to Manila and not have to bother with them again. So, and with Philippine Airlines, you can't do that. You have to take your suitcases off in Los Angeles and take it to the Philippine Airline check-in counter.
Oh, okay. So what airlines do you usually get
United Airlines is what I always use. They're
go?
the ones that go. They're the ones that go to Honolulu and then Guam,
And then from Guam to Manila,
and Guam to Manila. Exactly.
United Airlines.
United Airlines goes all the way to Manila.
Okay. Is that what is the flagship of that airline?
That is the flagship, United Airlines.
Oh, I thought it was Pan American Airways, something like that.
No, no, no. Pan American has been non-existent for 15 years.
Really?
That's when I was a little. Yeah, that was when I was a little kid. Pan Am was the airline when I was growing up, but it hasn't been around for maybe 15 or 20 years.
Okay.
The big airlines in the United States are United and Delta
Yeah, Delta. I'm
and
aware
uh,
of that.
and uh, and American Airlines. Those are probably the three biggest.
Okay. Do you love geography? Because I believe that if you are a traveler, then you must also love geography. Because
Yeah,
you get the chance
I love
to
traveling. I love travel.
familiarize.
What I don't like about traveling is going to the same places. In other words, I don't enjoy anymore going from the U.S. down to Mexico City. I don't enjoy going from the U.S. to Manila because I do it so many times. But I love traveling, going to other places that I've never been. That's why someday I will enjoy when I get rid of the rest of my business to have the time to go to some of the other Asian countries because Manila is a good stopping point to go to. I love Singapore. I if Singapore wasn't so far, that would be another place I would consider having as a base. But it's just
Mhm.
not as convenient as Manila is. So, and also Manila is a larger place that have more people speaking English because Singapore is very small. It's a city state. The whole country is in the city. There's nothing else. So,
But the
and
thing,
there's not a whole lot of English in Malaysia, and there's not a whole lot of English in Indonesia.
but the thing is, if you're gonna base somewhere else, then you and I might not be able to meet up.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And just like you speak fluent English, and for somebody like me, it just opens up a whole different world if they like Asia, being in a culture who maybe not real predominantly speaks English, but it's still a big base of the country. And even though a lot of people don't speak good English, English is still widely used in the Philippines. On television, you
Hmm.
know, and and you know, I mean, I found English in Leyte. I found English in Cebu. I found English in Baguio, in Davao. You know, there's not too many. There's no other Asian country that an English speaking person like me could be involved with that much English. I mean, no other Asian country other than the Philippines.
Yeah, thanks to the American influence long time ago.
Uh huh. Uh huh. And I like Mexico and I like Spain. And so, can you imagine? I have the best of all the worlds there.
Yeah.
So anyway, listen, it's 9 o'clock here. I'm going to be late for my appointment. I love talking to you.
Yeah, me too.
Should I call you Mike or Michael? Which do you like better?
Um, Michael, I guess.
I like Michael too, actually. It's a nicer name. It's not as abbreviated.
Yeah.
And that's your real name, right? That's on your birth certificate is Michael.
Yes.
Good.
Michael Bryan.
Michael what?
Michael Bryan.
Good. So your parents were influenced by the Americans too in naming their kids.
Yeah. My
Good for
brother's
the
name is
Americans.
McKay.
God, he was even influenced by parents with Americans.
Yeah.
Because his is an English name, right?
Yeah. McKay.
Now, how about your mom?
Malu. Marie. Actually, it's Maria Lourdes. More of Spanish.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So the poor Filipinos, man, they're either influenced by the Spanish or by the Americans.
I think both nowadays.
Yeah,
S-
that's what I mean, but they don't have any of their own. It's just either the Americans or Spanish. That's why some people want to fight for Tagalog only. But you
Yeah.
know, when you look at Tagalog, I know enough Spanish that, man, there are so many words that are the same in Spanish as in Tagalog, so they can't even say that Tagalog is their own language.
Yeah. Like the word para,
Yeah.
kumusta. Kumusta comes from Spanish word como estas. And then we just
Well,
adapt it.
I don't know how much como. It comes from como is how, and you conjugate. I don't know if they do in Tagalog, but you conjugate words in Spanish, and the verb uh, estás, you have to conjugate it. It comes from the infinitive estar, which is to be. So you have yo estoy, tú estás, él está, estamos, that kind of thing. I don't know if they
Mm.
go into that detail in Tagalog, but como estás would be the informal way of saying how are you in Spanish.
Yeah, because in
If you want to
Tagalog
say
it's
it formally, I
kumusta.
would say como está usted? How are you? That's what I would do with an older person. Como está usted?
Mhm.
I don't think you do that in Tagalog, do you?
Just kumusta.
Yeah, just como está. You don't go into all the details. And some of the words you pronounce, like for example, my last name in Spanish is Martillo, and in you say the same thing in Tagalog, but I think it's Martillo or something like that.
Martillo. Martillo.
Yeah, Martillo, that's what it is. And that's not the way you pronounce it in Spanish. It's Martillo in Spanish.
Martillo.
It's spelled exactly the same way, I think, Martillo, but it's pronounced differently.
John
How do you pronounce?
Martillo.
I think it's probably spelled differently. How do you spell hammer in Tagalog? Martilo or Lio, or how do you spell it?
Martilyo.
Yo. See, you
Martillo.
do put the Tagalog uh, deal on it, but you can't say it's Tagalog because it comes from the Spanish word. You can see where the Spanish word is, but then you
Yeah.
put your own little letters to make it Tagalog, I
Hmm.
guess.
And even our letters, it's not really our letters. We have an ancient calligraphy called
Hmm.
Alif Bata, and it's no
Hmm.
longer teached or taught in school
Hmm.
nowadays.
Hmm.
So we're actually gradually losing our identity or our
Hmm.
heritage.
I know. And look at all of the foreigners that are coming in, and they're marrying Filipina girls, and they're having kids,
Yeah.
and that's losing even more identity in the Philippines.
Yeah, because kids
Philippines
nowadays
is
are
going to just look
hybrid.
like a big foreign country in another 100 years from now, with all kinds of looking people,
Yeah. Multiracial.
multiracial. Whether it's good or bad, I don't think it'll be bad, or I don't think it'll be good. It'll be just what happens.
And I have some Australian acquaintances that told
Hmm.
me, you know, some parts of Australia is like Philippines. Like
Hmm.
multi races are in a specific area.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of Asians in Australia.
Have you been there?
Uh huh. They, you know, there was a period of time. I don't know when that was, but there was a period of time where it was easy for because of immigration. It was, I guess, Australia. At one time, Australia was looking for people because it was such a large country and it was progressing, and they didn't have enough people for the jobs. So they were letting in a lot of Asian people, and then now it's just the opposite, which is causing a little bit of a problem there because now it's very, very difficult for Asians to go to Australia. And they go from two extremes, one where it was easy to get in there, and now it's very, very difficult. But during the time, it was very easy for Asians to get there. That's why there's so many Asians that have, like this is probably the second, third generation of Asians that have been born in Australia.
Hmm.
But a lot of Asians, maybe not in the Philippines, but there's a lot of Asians that would love to go to Australia, from Indonesia and Malaysia and places like that. But it's very difficult for them to get visas to get there.
Yeah. It's, it's not easy for us unless someone invites us to get in there.
Right. And even then, it's a little bit difficult. It's almost impossible in the United States to do that, even if somebody invites somebody. So that's the problem with immigration, I guess. And nursing, for example, your mom and dad are in nursing. That used to be very easy to get, to travel to America for the nursing part. But now that the economy has gone not so good in the last 8 years, there's a lot of nurses, American nurses now, that are taking up the jobs that they needed the foreign nurses for. So now it's even more difficult for from what I understand in Philippines now, it used to be a very good profession to go into nursing, but now it's more and more difficult, even into there's too many nurses and not enough jobs type thing. So,
Mm.
but Philippines has always been known for having excellent, excellent nurses. That's why they immigrated to other places because of their reputation. And I think they still have a good reputation. If I ever need a nurse, I'll always be in a good place, right? In the Philippines.
Yeah.
But I hope that's not for another 50 years. But you never know.
Yeah, we'll never know life.
Yeah, nothing is for certain, no matter what age you are. Listen, Guy, I need to go.
Okay.
Okay, it's been great talking to you.
Me too.
Okay, be a good boy tonight. Don't do anything bad, please. Even on the internet.
All right. But
All right?
okay, just uh,
Is that a promise?
let's continue tomorrow. Yeah,
We'll
that's a
continue, but you have
promise.
to shut off your computer so you get some sleep, okay?
I will, because
Okay.
I'm actually
Before four
sleepy.
o'clock in the morning. Before 4 o'clock in the morning, okay?
In my time,
In your time, right?
before 4, I thought around.
Before 4 a.m. your time, turn off your computer and get some sleep so you can talk to me after 5 hours of sleep.
No, I'm gonna Go straight to sleep.
Don't go straight, just go to sleep.
Okay, I'll go to sleep.
Do you, do you understand what that meaning meant?
No.
Don't go straight. You know what straight is in gay language.
Silly.
So that's why I said don't go straight, just go to sleep.
Yeah, I now get it.
Don't go straight to sleep. Let me rephrase it. Just go gay to sleep, okay? It would be better.
All right.
Okay, guy.
I,
So
I
anyway,
should I
great
should be
talking
the
to you,
one
big.
to I should be the one to say that you must, behave yourself.
Yeah, I'm too busy not to behave myself. I want to be a little bit less busy so I can smell the roses. Remember that expression?
Really now.
That doesn't mean being with other guys. That means just slow down and enjoy life, just to enjoy things. You can be too busy, you know.
You've been
To
you've been with other guys before.
No,
Anyway,
it has nothing to do with being with other guys. It's being too busy. Too busy to just sit down and relax or go to the beach or just read a book or that kind of thing. That's what I need to start doing, is slowing down so I can smell the roses and enjoy life. Enjoy what I've been able to accumulate instead of work, work, work all the time.
does that mean canceling me out of the equation?
No, no. It means you can help me with that.
Wow, you're far, and I don't know when you're gonna return.
What do you mean I'm far? I live in Makati. You already told me that that's close.
No, I
So,
mean you're in Los Angeles.
well, but for a speck of time, that's not where I'm at all the time. If you're talking about in 24 hours, yeah, I am far away. But anyway, speaking of far away, I've got to go. I'm already late, and it's been great talking to you. And like I said, get your computer turned off by 4 o'clock in the morning so you can get 5 hours of sleep, and then message me when you wake up if you get a chance.
Okay,
Okay, guy. Michael, big hugs. Okay.
big hugs.
Okay. Talk to you later. Okay.
Okay, take care.
Okay. Bye bye. Bye.